Okay, differential growth is where the rubber meets the road and where you will have most of your work in this section in this assignment. So here we go. Differential growth simply means that the stock is going to grow, usually fast at the beginning, and then it's going to mature over the course of its life. And so what we need is differential growth rates over time, and so we need to kind of break it into pieces. First thing, we're going to assume that dividends will grow at different rates for the foreseeable future, and therefore we will not be able to use the constant growth rate for the whole thing. At one point we can for when it matures. In addition to that, a differential growth rate stock, we need to estimate future dividends in the foreseeable future. We need to estimate the future stock price when the dividends will become constant growth, and we need to compute the total present value of both the expected future dividends and the future stock price when appropriate at the appropriate discount rate. So we're going to take this into stages and take it step by step, and then I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to give you a spreadsheet example of exactly how to calculate all this so you see exactly what you're getting into. So no panicking. Okay, so the graph here shows differential growth rates. You can see at this in this graph, the company grows to a certain point at one growth rate, and then it grows to another point at another growth rate. And so this would be an example of we're growing really fast at one growth rate, and then we grow a little slower in the future. In fact, you can see that many companies grow, and then level off, and then they grow very slowly after that. I remember when Dell Computer first came out, it was growing leaps and bounds, and then all of a sudden, everybody knew about Dell and was buying computers from Dell, and then they just have reoccurring customers buying their stuff instead of new customers, and so it slowed down. Same thing with Home Depot. I remember when Home Depot had one store, and a lot of my friends had worked for or been involved in Home Depot as it grew, and of course they did very well because Home Depot did very well, but as you could see those stores roll out, the stock price was soaring and it was rising, and then of course once you get mature, it flattens out. So this is the kind of thing that we're looking for. In the differential growth rate example, a common stock just paid a dividend of $2. The dividend is expected to grow at 8% for 3 years, then it will grow at 4% in perpetuity. So we have our two growth rates, 8% for 3 years and 4% in perpetuity. After that, the discount rate is 12%. What is the stock worth? So we can do a simple calculation, or somewhat simple calculation here, and we like to draw a timeline. Timelines are very helpful here because you can get a little bit lost. So the top here has a timeline. The first period we grew at 8%. $2 times 1.08 is 8%. The second period it's $2 times 1.08 times 1.08, or 1.08 squared. And the third time period is $2 times 1.8 to the third. And the fourth time period is where we start to get our perpetuity, or our constant growth model. So we have 3 years of growth, and then the fourth period, everything after 3 years is constant growth. And so how do we do that? We do D1, and what is D1? It's actually time period 4. So D1 would be time period 3 multiplied by the new growth rate of 4%. So you can see that in this big red circle there's $2 times the third period value of 1.08 raised to the third, multiplied by the 4% increase in D1 of that second time period. Do you follow that? D1 of the second time period. So that's D1, and we divide that by the return rate of 12%, we're looking for 12%, minus the 4% of the growth rate, right? So 12% is our required rate of return minus the 4% of growth rate, which is 8%. If you look down in the lower right-hand corner, you can see that P3, which is the price at time 3, is 2.62, which is the third period dividend of 2.52, increased by 4% for D1. So 2.62 is D1 divided by 0.08, which is R minus G, R being 12%, G being 4%, 0.12 minus 0.04 is 0.08. If you divide those two, you get 32.75. So the constant growth, forever history, for going all the way into the future for the rest of time, is worth 32.75 at period 3. Now we just add that to the $2.52 at period 3, and we have a discount rate of 216, 233, and then the total of 252 plus 32.75, and we discount that back at 12%, and we find that the stock is worth $28.89 given this parameter. They're going to pay this dividend, it's going to grow at this rate, then it's going to slow down and grow at a slower rate. If we discount all that back, we can see that it's discounted back to $28.89. So that would be one way to think about the value of a stock going forward that has two different types of growth rates. Now, having said all that, we have three different types: zero growth, constant growth, and differential growth. We can take that differential growth and put it into a more complex model where we actually figure out what the value of the company is based on its free cash flow and how much it needs to keep in operating capital to keep ongoing operations going on. And that's a little bit more complications with what numbers go into it, but it's the same basic time value of money calculation. You're trying to get cash flows for time periods, discount them back, and find a present value. When you find the present value, you know what the value of the company is. So that's what we're looking for, a present value of future cash flows. It's just how do you get those future cash flows to be realistic. So we've done it three different ways now. Our next way is going to be a longer way and a little more true way of what goes on. And so we're going to get into the financial statements and find our own cash flows and then discount those back. And that's next, so stay tuned.